She shouted at the top of her lungs. "You can't drive here anymore. This is HOA property now." I stood still in the middle of the road, my boots pressing against the gravel that I had laid with my own hands years ago. She waved a stack of fake papers in my face, her smug smile screaming ownership. "We voted and this road belongs to us now. You'll pay monthly fees if you want to use it." My fists clenched, but I didn't move. She thought I was just another quiet man, an easy target. What she didn't know was this road wasn't just mine. It was legally registered under my name, surveyed, taxed, and paid off long before this HOA even existed. I looked at the line of cars parked arrogantly across the path, SUVs, sedans, even her flashy white Range Rover, blocking me and my family from leaving. "If you try to move them, we'll have them towed," she smirked, pointing her finger like a queen giving orders. Her friends chuckled behind her, enjoying the scene. One even whispered loud enough for me to hear, "He'll cave in like the others. They always do." My daughter's voice broke the silence from our porch. "Dad, are we trapped?" Her small face peered from behind the screen door. The laughter from the group stopped for a moment, but Karen doubled down. "Yes, sweetie, your daddy doesn't follow rules. Maybe he should learn the hard way." That was it. The humiliation, the cruelty, the entitlement boiling in my chest. I took a slow breath, keeping my calm. "This is my road. You think you can steal it? You think you can trap us?" I said, softly, but they could all hear the weight in my voice. Karen's smirk faltered for just a second, then she barked, "You touch one car and you're going to jail. The cops are already on their way." I tilted my head, staring at her without a word. She had no idea that the law was already on my side. And if she thought I was bluffing, well, she was about to learn what happens when you push a man too far. "Fine," I whispered, my eyes sweeping across the line of shiny vehicles. "Then let's see who disappears first, me or your cars." Her laugh was sharp, echoing across the road. "Disappear? What are you going to do, wave a magic wand?" The others chuckled nervously, but I noticed how some of them shifted uneasily. They weren't as confident as she was. I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled my phone from my pocket and tapped a single button. Within seconds, a faint hum grew louder, almost like a swarm of bees in the distance. Karen frowned and glanced over her shoulder. Headlights appeared, 2 tow trucks rolling in, heavy chains rattling, engines growling. Her smirk vanished. What's this?" I stepped closer, lowering my voice so she had to lean in to hear. "You said the cops are coming. Funny. I called someone too. Only difference? Mine actually show up." The trucks pulled onto the gravel, big men in uniform stepping out, each holding clipboards. They didn't even look at me. They already knew the plan. "All these cars parked illegally on private property?" one asked, nodding at the line of vehicles. I gave a single nod. Karen's voice cracked. "No, this is HOA land. He can't just take our cars." She waved her fake papers again, her hand trembling now. One of the men snatched the papers, scanned them, then burst out laughing. "Lady, this isn't even legal format. You printed this off Word." Chains clinked as they hooked onto the first SUV. Karen shrieked, running forward. "Stop! That's my husband's car. You can't take it." She tried to grab the chain, but one of the workers simply stepped aside and let the winch do its work. Tires screeched against gravel as the car was yanked up like a toy. I leaned against my fence post, calm as ever. "You wanted me gone, right? You wanted to block me in? Now watch carefully, because it's your cars that are vanishing, not me." Her friends started panicking, rushing toward their vehicles, fumbling with keys, trying to start engines before the trucks could reach them, but it was too late. The machines were faster, louder, stronger. One by one, cars were dragged away into the night, the sound of metal grinding against chains filling the air. Karen spun back to me, face red, eyes wild. "You can't do this. I'll have you arrested." I stepped forward close enough for her to see the fire in my eyes. "Arrest me? Karen, you're standing on my road, trespassing, threatening my family. The only person who's about to be in cuffs tonight is you." Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. For the first time, she realized she wasn't the one holding power anymore. And the real twist was still waiting. Blue and red lights flashed at the far end of the road. The group froze as the real police cruisers rolled in, tires crunching over the gravel. Karen straightened her shoulders, suddenly bold again. She waved both arms like she was welcoming heroes to her rescue. "Finally, officers, arrest him. He's stealing our cars and threatening us." The officers stepped out, hands resting casually on their belts, eyes scanning the scene. One looked at the tow trucks, the chains, the pile of cars already lined up down the road. Then his gaze shifted to me. His lips twitched almost like he was holding back a smile. "Evening, sir," he said. Karen blinked, caught off guard. "Why are you talking to him? He's the criminal here. This is HOA property and he—" The officer cut her off. "Ma'am, step aside." His partner took the fake papers from her hand and flipped through them. "Yeah, this is garbage. You can't just print off documents and call them legal." Karen's voice rose higher, cracking now. No, you don't understand. We voted. We own this road now." I folded my arms and finally spoke, loud enough for everyone to hear. "This road is deeded land. Been in my name for 15 years. Taxes up to date. You blocked it, trapped my family, and trespassed. I didn't move your cars. You forced me to remove them, legally." One officer nodded, pulling something from his vest. He held up a tablet, the county property map glowing on the screen. He tapped once and the boundary lines lit up. "Confirmed. This road is his, not HOA, not community. His." Karen's face drained of color. She took a step back, stammering. But we decided. The HOA has rights. We can—" The officer's tone sharpened. "You impersonated legal authority, threatened a child, and filed a false claim to dispatch. That's 3 charges already." Gasps erupted from her friends. Some backed away from her, muttering excuses, pretending they had nothing to do with it. Karen reached for one of them, desperate. "And don't leave me. Tell them we voted. Tell them—" But nobody stepped forward. The officer turned to me. "Do you want to press charges?" I looked at Karen, trembling now, her confidence shattered. My daughter peeked from the porch again, her small voice barely reaching us. "Daddy, is it over?" I placed a hand over my chest, never breaking eye contact with Karen. "Not yet. This is America. Justice comes first." And that's when I pulled out the evidence she could never escape from. I held up my phone, the screen already recording. With one swipe, I mirrored it to the officer's tablet. The video played instantly, the hidden security cameras I'd installed months ago, mounted along the fence line, catching every angle of my land. On the footage, Karen and her crew were laughing as they parked their cars across the road. Her voice was crystal clear. "Block him in, make sure his family can't leave. Let's see if he cries first or calls a lawyer." The officers leaned in closer, their jaws tightening. The video continued, Karen placing the fake notice on my door, pounding her fist against it, then yelling at my daughter when she peeked outside. My little girl's scared voice echoed through the speakers. "Dad, are we trapped?" Karen lunged forward, trying to snatch the phone, but one officer stepped between us, holding her back. "That's enough, ma'am. You've done more than enough." Her voice cracked with panic. "No, that's not fair. He set me up. He's manipulating this." The officer's tone was cold now, all patience gone. "No one forced you to threaten a child. No one forced you to block a public easement that isn't yours. And no one forced you to lie to dispatch." Her face twisted with rage. "You can't do this to me. I am the HOA. People listen to me. I make the rules here." I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she and the officers could hear. "You forgot one rule, Karen. The law doesn't bend for you." Behind us, the tow truck chains clattered as another one of her SUVs was pulled away. The sound made her snap. She lunged toward me, hand raised like she was about to strike. But before she even touched me, the officer grabbed her wrist and twisted it behind her back in one smooth motion. The click of the handcuffs echoed in the night. Her screams cut through the air, high-pitched and desperate. "This isn't over. You'll regret this. Everyone here will see. I run this neighborhood." The officer looked at me, shaking his head. Unbelievable. Some people think they're above everything. I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. My daughter ran to my side, gripping my arm tight. I bent down, whispered to her, "It's over now, sweetheart. She can't hurt us anymore." But deep inside, I knew this wasn't the final chapter. Karen wasn't just arrogant, she was dangerous, and people like her, they never go down quietly. Karen thrashed against the cuffs, spitting words like venom. "You think you've won? My lawyer will crush you. The HOA board will bury you alive in lawsuits." The officers ignored her as they walked her toward the cruiser, but her shrieking carried over the entire neighborhood. Curtains twitched in nearby houses. Porch lights flicked on. Neighbors began gathering, whispering, recording on their phones. One of the officers leaned toward me quietly. "Sir, you'll want to keep this footage safe. People like her, they'll try anything before it's done." I nodded, but my eyes weren't on Karen anymore. They were on the crowd forming across the street. Some of them looked guilty, others looked scared. But a few looked angry. Not at Karen, but at me. As the cruiser door slammed shut, a tall man in a suit jacket stepped forward. His voice carried authority, but not respect. "This is outrageous. You can't arrest the HOA president in front of the entire neighborhood. This man," he jabbed a finger at me, "is just a troublemaker who refuses to follow rules." "She was acting for the good of the community," the crowd murmured. Some nodded, some frowned. My daughter clutched my sleeve tighter. I recognized the man instantly. Paul, the HOA's lawyer. He wasn't a fool, and he wasn't here just to defend Karen. He was here to intimidate me. The officer closest to him said firmly, "Sir, step back. She broke the law." But Paul smirked, tilting his head. "You think this ends with one arrest? You just gave me exactly what I need. Tomorrow we'll file for injunctions. We'll drag him through court for months, maybe years. And when we're done, he'll wish he never set foot on this road." Karen's muffled shouts came from inside the cruiser, fueling his fire. "He stole our road. He humiliated me. Don't let him win." I felt the weight of every eye on me. Neighbors, police, even my daughter waiting for me to say something. My pulse hammered, but I forced myself to stand taller, calmer. "You want to fight in court, Paul?" I said slowly, letting my words slice through the silence. "Good. Because you're forgetting something." I pulled a folded envelope from my jacket and held it up. "The HOA isn't just trespassing, and it's already under investigation, and I made sure the right people saw everything." Paul's confident smile wavered just slightly. His eyes flickered toward the envelope. He hadn't expected that. The officer looked at me, then back at Paul. "Investigation? By who?" I let the pause hang heavy in the air, making sure everyone felt it before I answered. "By federal authorities," I said flatly, "and trust me, they're a lot less forgiving than I am." The crowd went dead silent. Even the crickets seemed to stop. For the first time, Paul didn't look so sure of himself. Paul's smirk faded into something colder, sharper. He tried to recover, adjusting his tie like he still had control. "Federal? Don't bluff. No agency cares about some cracked gravel road." His voice carried strength, but his eyes betrayed doubt. I didn't move closer. I didn't need to. I simply slid the envelope open and revealed the letterhead. Bold, unmistakable, Department of Justice, Property Crimes Division. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones zoomed in, recording every detail. I spoke calmly, every word cutting deeper. "You think this is about a road? It's about fraud, about stolen funds, about intimidation. Your precious HOA has been skimming money, falsifying votes, and bullying families out of their homes. And I've given the feds enough evidence to keep them busy for years." Karen banged her head against the cruiser window, screaming muffled curses. Paul's jaw clenched, his confidence unraveling in front of everyone. He glanced at the neighbors, but they were no longer murmuring in his favor. They were staring at him with suspicion, betrayal, and worst of all, recording. One older man from the crowd stepped forward, voice trembling with anger. "Is that where our dues went, Paul? You raised fees 3 times last year, told us it was for community improvements. Meanwhile, my wife's been begging for sidewalk repairs for 2 years. Another voice chimed in, sharper. You people fined my son for parking on the street overnight, and now I find out you're stealing money? The crowd's energy shifted. It wasn't on my side, it was against them, against Paul, against Karen. And once the crowd turned, there was no stopping it. Paul held his hands up, trying to calm them. Neighbors, please, don't let this man manipulate you. This is all a misunderstanding. But the officer nearest him cut him off. Sir, I suggest you stop talking, because if what he says is true, you're in deeper trouble than she is. Paul's mask finally cracked. His voice dropped low, meant only for me, but the tension in his words carried far. You don't understand who you're messing with. People like us, we don't lose. I leaned in just enough so he could see the steel in my eyes. That's where you're wrong. You're already losing. And tomorrow everyone will know it. As if on cue, one of the tow trucks pulled away, headlights sweeping across the crowd as another SUV was dragged down the road. The sound of chains grinding against steel was the final nail in their illusion of power. My daughter tugged at my sleeve again, whispering just for me. Dad, are they going to take our home too? I crouched down, brushing her hair back gently. No, sweetheart. Not this time. This time they're the ones losing everything. And though I said it softly, every single person in that crowd heard me. Karen's screams had dulled into broken sobs inside the cruiser, her forehead pressed against the glass. Paul stood frozen, his tie slightly crooked, sweat glistening at his temples. But it wasn't his silence that held the air. It was the crowd. Neighbors who once feared HOA letters now whispered openly, their anger rising like a tide. Phones stayed raised, lenses pointed at Paul like he was already on trial. 1. Officer's radio crackled. Dispatch to Unit 7, be advised, Federal Task Force en route, ETA 20 minutes. The officer met my eyes briefly, almost with respect. Looks like you weren't bluffing, sir. Paul stiffened. His voice cracked for the first time. Federal Task Force? He tried to laugh, but it came out thin, broken. No, this is all theater. They wouldn't come here. For this? But even as he spoke, headlights appeared again at the far end of the road. Sleek, unmarked vehicles moving in formation. Not like neighbors, not like tow trucks. The murmurs in the crowd turned to gasps. Black SUVs rolled up, engines low, deliberate. When the doors opened, men and women in tactical vests stepped out, badges gleaming under the streetlights. U.S. Marshals. Karen's sobs twisted back into screams, her fists pounding the glass. Paul, do something, get me out. They can't. Take me, this is my neighborhood. The marshals didn't even look at her. Their leader, a woman with sharp eyes and a calm authority, approached me first. Mr. Reed? I nodded slowly. Your reports were received. We've been tracking this HOA for months. Fraud, racketeering, intimidation. Your evidence filled in the gaps. Tonight, you just blew this case wide open. Gasps tore through the crowd. Someone muttered, racketeering? Another, like the mob. The marshals nodded grimly. Paul stumbled backward, hands raised like he could push the truth away. No, you can't. This is a neighborhood association. This is ridiculous. The marshal didn't blink. It's organized crime hiding, behind picket fences and bylaws, and you, sir, are coming with us. The crowd erupted, some in cheers, some in shock. Neighbors who had been silent victims were crying, hugging, holding their kids tighter. For the first time, they realized it wasn't just me standing up to Karen and her board. It was all of us. I lifted my daughter into my arms, her small hands wrapped around my neck as she whispered, Daddy. They're all going away? I kissed her forehead. Yes, sweetheart. The bad guys don't win tonight. Paul tried one last desperate move, pointing at me with shaking hands. This man, he's dangerous. He's manipulating you all. The marshal silenced him with a firm grip on his arm and the metallic snap of cuffs. Save it for the courtroom. And just like that, the HOA's empire crumbled under the glow of streetlights and the unblinking eyes of every phone camera in the neighborhood. But deep down, as I watched them being led away, a thought tightened in my chest. If the HOA was just the surface, what else was lurking beneath this neighborhood? The cruisers and black SUVs pulled away one by one, their flashing lights fading into the night. The neighborhood, once ruled by HOA threats and Karen's shrill voice, was silent except for the crickets. People lingered on their porches, whispering about what they'd just seen, clutching their phones like trophies. Justice had rolled through their quiet street, and nothing would ever look the same. I carried my daughter back toward the porch, her little head resting on my shoulder. For the first time in weeks, she wasn't asking if we'd have to move or if someone would come yelling at us again. She just whispered, "We're safe now, right?" I wanted to say yes. I wanted to promise her that everything was over. But as I looked back down the road, the gravel scattered from tow trucks, the dark patches where cars once sat, I knew better. HOA wasn't just Karen. It wasn't just Paul. They were symptoms of something bigger. People who thought power was theirs to take, who thought families like mine were too small, too weak, too quiet to fight back. And if they could take a road, what else would they try to steal?